U.S. Congress slams Nigeria's $9 million lobbying deal over religious freedom concerns. Exactly. I know that secret has leaked. I know that Nigerian government went to pay $9 million to a lobbyist organization in the U.S. to change the narrative of religious genocide in Nigeria, to change the narrative in the U.S. so that Trump will see something different. But it's not working. That has been exposed. And now the U.S. Congress is taking it on a higher level, slamming Nigerian government for doing that. But let's get into the details. A United States congressional hearing on global religious freedom has criticized the federal government's reported $9 million lobbying contract in Washington, with lawmakers warning that the deal appeared designed to downplay serious human rights and religious freedom abuses in Nigeria. Exactly. The concerns were raised on Wednesday during a joint hearing of the House Subcommittee on Africa and the Subcommittee on the Western Hemisphere, titled Defending Religious Freedom Around the World. So the session featured testimonies from former U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, Sam Brownback, and former chair of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, USCIRF, Dr. Stephen Schneck. Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Africa Subcommittee, Chris Smith, defended the October 2025 decision to designate Nigeria as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act, describing the move as long overdue following years of deadly violence against Christian communities. Exactly. Smith, however, said he was troubled by efforts to counter the designation through lobbying, like what the government what the government was doing. That is the Nigerian government. So I just want to say to my colleagues that I am deeply concerned that Nigeria has hired the lobbying firm DCI Group to the tune of $9 million, okay, $750,000 a month, he said. And a Nigerian billionaire has entered into a $120 million a month contract with Washington-based consulting firm Valcor to influence Congress and the executive branch. They hire these firms. They come up with their very well-written talking points to say nothing to see here. And unfortunately, how these firms are just so good at advocating for their client for religious freedom. So why Smith argued that the CPC designation was necessary to pressure Nigeria, ranking member Sarah Jacobs criticized what she described as an overly narrow focus on Christian persecution. Can you imagine? So there's argument there. So that now a member of the Congress too is trying to slam the congressman for narrowing down the whole thing to Christian persecution. So, and that is the outcome of the lobbying. Jacobs noted that despite expressed concern over religious violence, the United States had cut hundreds of millions of dollars in foreign assistance to Nigeria, including programs aimed at supporting faith leaders and communities affected by conflict. So she cited the termination of the community initiatives to promote peace program, which she said had helped reduce violence in parts of the country. Despite the administration's apparent interest in addressing conflict and religious tensions in Nigeria, it has cut hundreds of millions of dollars in foreign assistance to Nigeria, including assistance to faith leaders and to communities experiencing violence in the Middle Belt, Jacob said. So she cautioned against framing Nigeria's crisis purely in religious terms, stressing that the violence in Nigeria is complex, affecting both Christians and Muslims, and the drivers of this violence are multifaceted and cannot be reduced to a single framing. Can you see the argument? So Jacob added that the oversimplistic narratives can further inflame religious tensions in communities. And this is kind of narrative that the Muslims want to see. This is the kind of narrative that the federal government want to see as a product of their $9 million lobbying. So the U.S. Congress are now arguing among themselves. So former U.S. CIRF chair Schneck agreed, warning that the cost of the strikes likely overweighed uh, funding previously allocated to interfaith and humanitarian initiatives. So in fact, it occurs to me that the cost of the Tomahawk missiles that were sent probably exceeded the amount of money that had previously been going to Nigeria to improve interfaith relations and provide humanitarian assistance, he said. This narrative not go work. So this narrative now will help to stop the launching of missiles against the terrorist organization. The only thing here is here, I know that Trump is a very determined person. He will do what he wants to do. So in the comment section, but before we get there, let's see exactly how this debate was concluded. So U.S. President Donald Trump has repeatedly claimed that Christians in Nigeria are facing genocide and has previously threatened military action, which he did. So the federal government has rejected the claims, insisting that while the country faces serious security challenges, there is no genocide. That is Nigeria government narrative. So despite the tensions, U.S. African Command, working with President Bola Tinubu's administration, carried out airstrikes on December 25 against terrorist targets in Sokoto. So in January, the document revealed that the federal government entered into a $9 million contract with a U.S.-based lobbying firm, DCI Group, to communicate Nigeria's effort to protect Christians to the U.S. government. It no work. It no work. It no work. It no work. So in the comment section, let me see. There's a simple way to confirm if Christianity is not under threat is to allow crusades to be conducted in Sokoto, Maiduguri, Kaduna, Gombe, Nasarawa, Nigeria, etc. And watch what will happen. America should not listen to Nigeria's president and his wife and all those calling him to back down on the clamp of Islamic terrorists. Okay, that is somebody's view. I'm telling you. So from this report, it shows that it was not the U.S. Congress that issued this statement. It was an opinion by a member of the subcommittee. So the reporter also failed to highlight those members who said the problem went beyond Christian persecution and that the U.S. cut aids to Christian leaders in Nigeria. Who are those? So why pay such a huge amount of money to hide the truth? Something is terribly wrong with Nigeria, and that is true. Why is Nigeria paying such huge amount of money to hide the truth? Because, the Nigerian government is a government of propaganda. They paid, the same way they paid data boys in Nigeria to help APC propagate its propaganda. It's the same thing they are trying to do abroad to see how they can change the international narratives to change the views of the state of things in Nigeria. But unfortunately, the U.S. is a country that has all necessary intelligence. So all this effort obviously will not go anywhere. Somebody said Boko Haram and ISWAP and bandits killed thousands of Muslims in Borno, Yobe, Katsina, Zamfara, Niger, Kwara, Kaduna, and Adamawa, and displaced millions now in IDP camps. The killing affected both Muslims and Christians. It is not only Christians that are affected. So what is the Muslims' effort to stop it? Most people in power are all Muslims. So why have they not been able to accept this? Why did they come out to say that attack on Boko Haram is attacked on the north, when they know that Boko Haram and the herdsmen and the ISWAPs and the bandits are all doing the evil? So let's stop the issue of Muslims are affected. Yes, Muslims are affected, but the Muslims have also accepted that that those who are doing it are their brothers, and nothing can be done about it. So let them live with it. And the South that does not want it should be allowed to defend themselves. That is it. So thank you for listening. Let's have your comment on this U.S. Congress debate on Nigeria matter.